Alright, welcome back. So what we want to do this time is we want to update a quote. So let's go ahead and take a look at the problem we're trying to solve. So let's go ahead and play around with adding a quote. So what the heck, let's make a ridiculous error. We'll say, "You'll be back," and that's in Terminator. E-R-O-R, not sure. So it says, "You'll be back." So I put it up there. And then I was like, that's not right. I want to edit that. The way we're going to edit in our app is it's going to be in the detail view. So we're going to say edit this, and it'll say, "I'll be back." So I update my quote. You can see that locally it looks like it updated. And then I click back, and you can see it went back to saying, "You'll be back." That wasn't quite what we were after. And if I go over here, it still says "You'll be back." That's because we haven't implemented edit yet. It doesn't send it to the cloud. So if you change it, it'll just get put right back to "You'll be back." So let's go ahead and fix that. So this one is going to be a little bit harder just because the change is happening not inside master view controller. It's actually going to happen inside the detail view controller. So, that requires a little bit of extra communication, right? So you can see that all of these, they use this service object. So we're going to have to pass the service object over. Also for a little built-in hack, we have to know whether we're local host testing or not. So we're not going to, there's tons of ways to do these things. We're going to make it really simple. We're just going to make a variable and just pass them in, right? So we're just going to make a property for the service object. So that was a GTL, what was it, service movie quotes. So we're just going to have the service over here. Oh, it says I don't know this class, GTL service. You could actually do the proper import, but we'll just add the class up here just so it stops complaining. And then we're also going to make a Boolean, bool, for is local host testing. All right, so now we've got a place to put stuff, and I did that in detail view controller.h. Not sure if I made that clear, but those two additions were in detail view controller.h. Now I need to pass that data in. The place where you would pass data like that in is, that's actually done. I'm just going to take that off. The place where you would pass that in is in the prepare for segue. So the prepare for segue, you can see that it's already giving that detail view the movie quotes. I want to also go ahead and give him the service object, and then is local host testing. I'll just pass him in that constant. Again, we're passing on a constant, so there's obviously a lot of ways to do this. I just picked a simple way to do it and went with it, right? So now I've passed those things in. So now he's got access to them if he needs them. So now let's go into the detail view controller, and we're going to go ahead and make an area for endpoints. And what we want to do here is we want to make a method that will do an update for us. Update is very, very similar to insert, and I hate to start from scratch. So I'm just going to go ahead and take insert here, put it on my clipboard, paste it into this guy over in the detail view. So I just took the code from the master and just stuck it into the detail view. And now I'm going to start updating it. So instead of insert quote, I'm going to call it update quote. I could have used the same name because it's in a different place, but I'll make it say update quote. This one is a little bit different because it doesn't need to pass in a quote, because you can see that there's already there's only one quote we're dealing with, and it's self.movieQuote. So we don't need to pass anything in. And so you can see instead of new quote, we're just going to say self.movieQuote. So what makes this fundamentally different than adding is when you add something, you do an insert where the object has no entity key and it creates a new one for you. If you send one up where it already has an entity key, it'll find that one and it'll override it. We worked all that out in the last unit, right? So we're going to pass in this MovieQuote, which has an entity key. Localhost testing, we're doing with a Boolean property. And this is because it's an insert, so it's a post, so we do have to worry about that localhost hack, if you will. A lot of this stuff is the same. I mean, it was still an insert, right? So we're still just using the same insert. It's still going to return a MovieQuote, which is great. If there was an error, show error dialog, unfortunately that was a function that we had over in our master, right? So we need to either create that function here or just really quickly just make it again, right? I'm just going to really quickly make it again. Suppose I could have copy-pasted from the other one, but it's not that hard. So it needs a title, a message. Just to give me some more screen real estate, I'm going to bring it back a little. So the title, we're just going to say, error doing updates. The message, we're going to go ahead and put in the errors localized description. Delegate, I don't care who you call when this guy's done. We're just going to give it an OK button and then no other buttons. And then we're just going to say alert show. So hopefully we never see those error messages, right? But it's better to do it. Other things that insert did is it set the entity key. That's no longer relevant at all. And then it performed a query for quotes. That's no longer relevant at all. And so really all we need to do is we just need to send it off. And then the cloud will be in sync with what we have locally. So the last thing we need to do is we just need to call this somewhere. If you scroll up a little bit, you can see that there's just update with MovieQuotes, and that's pretty easy. So we just call update quote. So that is now a done. Oh, looks like I have another syntax error. New quote.json. I should have said self.moviequote.json. Excellent. Ready to try this thing. So right now I'm doing localhost testing to fix my you'll be back. And that should be fine because we pass in that Boolean for the hack, right? So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to edit it to say I'll be back. You can see it's updated right here locally, which is great. And then if we come back, it looks like it actually stuck. And if I do a refresh over here, it says I'll be back. And it doesn't have to be one you made, right? So this is like made from the web, my movie. I'll come over here, I'll pull down to refresh it. And I'll edit it to say made from the web, edited on iOS, right? And so it'll send that back. And then if I do a refresh over here, made from the web, edited on iOS. And it's really neat that that this whole thing comes together smoothly, right? You can go and switch it back. I like to finish with deployed testing, right? So localhost testing, no. It's really neat that you've got this integration of the two, like seeing things from the web. I still think it's cool, right? And then seeing it here, right? So if I wanted to clean up some of this trash, I can take these guys off. Looks like there's a little bug in my doing an update after delete. To be honest, I never really liked that one anyway. I'm gonna go take that off. Personal preference. I don't really want it to do an update after I do a delete. No, thank you. I kind of like it after insert, but after delete, yeah. And it'll help avoid any problems, right? So there, I cleaned up my my local ones, or my deployed ones, so that it's ready for the future. Also, if there was a typo in any of them, so let's go see if we can fix a typo anywhere. Looks pretty good. I'll tell you what, I'll add an exclamation point to "I'll be back." Exclamation point, update quote. You'll notice that also if you edit one, it touches the last touch date time and it moves it up to the top of the list. So I'll be back is now on top. All right, that is it for MovieQuotes. You've made a client app which does create, read, update, delete, The next thing we're going to have you do is a lab where you practice some of these things using your WeatherPix backend. All right, see you next time.